Is there a way to get? I'm trying to figure out what I was missing, right? I'm trying to figure out how can you get somebody that's a 18-year-old corporal to read a book with the perspective, with the right perspective. Is that possible?
An 18-year-old Dave Berke, it wasn't possible. I can tell you that for sure. It wasn't. And I don't know if that's the case. But I do know that if you get an 18-year-old Dave Berke, 18-year-old, anybody to start to read and start to think about it, that actually builds over time. And that creates some sort of foundation that I think with time and perspective, you can actually reach that, but there's no way at that age, no matter what you said, no matter how articulate you were, no matter how powerful the story was, I don't think you're reaching me. And I don't mean that to be discouraging, but I think that's a hard lesson, I think, for certainly what I was going through at that time in my life.
It's just not going to happen.
It's gonna, yeah.
It's weird too, because what you're focused on when you're 18 and you read With the Old Breed, you're like I remember my earliest memories of With the Old Breed are these guys were ripping people's gold teeth out with pliers. You're thinking, whoa, that's crazy. Like that's probably the big takeaway from my first read when I was whatever years old of With the Old Breed.
It's you see it for the things that seem not real, and you're like, man, that is incredible and that is awesome. And I also think that goes to, you talked about this a lot, that sort of that feeling of invincibility too when you're young, and that like immune to not just the physical risks, not just the potential of getting hurt or getting injured or getting shot or some of those worst things, but the mental and emotional risks that go along with experiencing that. That's a really hard lesson. Now, the other side of that is, when I deployed to Ramadi, almost everybody on my team was a first deployment, brand new, young U.S. Marine. You met Marcos Perez. He came to the muster. He was a young kid. And you walk in there sort of with this kind of this bulletproof approach. And it's not how it is when you leave. It's not the same. And in some ways, like you said, the scale is different than a Peleliu or a Guadalcanal or any of those things, that we just talked about. But when it's happening to you, it could be a single round, a single mortar, a single shot, a single wound. If it's happening to you, it sort of feels like it's happening to the whole world. It's really impactful. And that's probably why, if I look back on my career, the thing that's the most powerful experience that I had that sort of outshines everything by so much is that time in Ramadi, because I was exposed to things that I never saw as a pilot and never would have seen had I not been on that deployment.